Hello, welcome to another episode of The High Ground, powered by Premier Companies. And you can probably tell that I'm in the spot where Jeff usually sits. He is up in Wisconsin, and he is playing with the grandkids up there. But we have some special guests in the podcast room from Taranis. We got Brad Roberts, and you're a regional account manager.
Yep,
correct?
regional account manager.
And Cory Edge, and you're a customer success rep.
You bet.
Very good. And our own Luke Schnitker, who has a recent promotion.
Hey, that's right.
So I think we could probably talk about that.
Good to be back on the podcast.
Former account manager and now director of crop protection and seed.
That's
correct?
right. That is right.
Very nice. We may talk a little bit about your journey through, but before we get with introductions, everybody that comes on the high ground has to do the question of the day, and this one's a fun one. And we'll work around with Brad first and tell us about something. We all drive a lot in our jobs, so something that happened recently that you thought was pretty funny, right? You know what I said?
Yeah, and I actually have one that I picked up this morning on the way down, weaving my way to the interstate from North of Indianapolis to get down here. Drove past an old farmstead, and I looked over, and there was a Jersey cow tied to a giant concrete block in the yard. And you could see where they'd moved this cow around. She was grazing the yard down for him. So it was I kind of chuckled at that one this morning.
That's awesome. You always threaten it, but nobody ever does it.
Yeah, well, and the funny part is, like, you would think I'd see more things than that covering 3 states. I drive a lot,
yeah.
But that was the funniest thing I'd seen.
You didn't get a picture by any chance?
I did not. By the time I caught it, I was like, I should have taken a picture of that.
Cory, how about you?
Well, I'm sure a lot of people have seen the recent debacle with the restaurant Cracker Barrel. Right?
Oh yeah.
So, and how they wanted to change their logo, and they've since backpedaled. But
have they?
Yeah. So a couple of weeks ago, when that all kind of started, I was driving actually down in kind of southwest Indiana, and I saw some people with literal protest signs saying, Cracker Barrel shouldn't be changing their name or their logo and all this stuff. And they said, "Keep the old man" was one of the signs that I saw that cracked me up.
Keep the old man,
because they took him off of the original logo. And so, yeah. And then I saw something on Facebook the other day. They backpedaled pretty hard and said, we've heard you and we're going to listen. We're going to keep the old logo the way it was.
And people were they protesting at a Cracker Barrel?
They standing right in front of it and holding up signs saying "Keep the old man," and some change isn't for the better. So
I wish I had time to protest. I wouldn't protest, but I just wish I had that time.
Right?
Yeah,
that people do that. How do you?
I saw that whole thing cost them like $700 million.
You're kidding.
That whole marketing campaign, and completely
right. I mean, great
failed.
publicity.
$700 million of.
Yeah, and just to go back to where they were.
I think they said I read a thing like their stock dropped $94 million in just a few hours after they announced it.
Oh my!
That's the power of marketing, though. Think about how much publicity did Cracker Barrel get. When's the last time you ate at a Cracker Barrel?
It's been a long time. That's not usually my spot, but oh my gosh, that is just to go back to what they were doing before.
Yep.
Well, Luke, what have you found that's funny? Top those two.
Yeah, I don't know if so much funny, but yesterday I was on the interstate and going south was several, I would say dozens of IndyCar trailers.
Really?
It just gets me thinking, like, what it takes to move one of those teams, the logistics to move that, the money that's all involved in that, and
I couldn't
IndyCar
imagine.
racing. It was just, thought about that for the rest of my drive. And
I bet those trailers are pretty decked out on the inside too. I bet they're not just plain Jane.
Yep. But that was it was just neat to see them all on the move to wherever they were heading for the next race. So,
Well, mine recently, we got a lot of Amish in the territory, and I was behind one, and I was going westbound, and plenty of room. I could see really far, so I was getting ready to pass. I'd slowed down to pass, and the you know how the kids will pump their hand up and down for a semi to blow the horn? Well, this little Amish boy was hanging out of the buggy, and he was pumping his hand up and down to blow the horn like I was a semi truck. So I blew the horn, and he laughed and fell backwards back into the buggy, and just made his day. So
That's awesome.
All right.
Those are the best.
Well, a little introductions first. Brad, tell us a little about yourself and how'd you end up at Taranis?
So Tyrannis, I've been with Tyrannis about 4 months. So going back, I graduated from Purdue back in 2004, and have spent most of my career in agronomy. So most recently, I was with Syngenta with the NK brand. So that's kind of how I ended up at Taranis with our Syngenta partnership. Was found out about this, and made a few phone calls, and used the power of a network to weasel my way in here. As I like to joke that it was a very quick turnaround, but to come to Taranis and get on board with this cool stuff that we're doing, it's been really fun to use the agronomy piece, and coming from a family farm operation and that kind of thing, and being able to see the stuff that growers can see and that retailers can see with our insights and what we can see with the drones is become a pretty cool tool to be around.
And Cory, how did you get landed Taranis?
Yeah. So I Central Indiana kid that grew up on a diversified row crop and livestock operation. And, I kind of went more the livestock route early in my life, and went to Texas Tech actually, and graduated in 2016. And so from there, I kind of took a path into the row crop space, and did a little bit of marketing and advertising work for some ag media companies, and worked in the purebred livestock industry for a little while. And about 3 years ago, I had known about Taranis from a previous role, and thought, man, they're doing some pretty cool stuff. And the opportunity came to join, and so yeah, I'm approaching a total of 3 years with Taranis, and like Brad said, it's exciting to get to kind of be on the forefront of technology that's like this, and get on the ground level. So
we're going to get into that. Luke, you have welcome back.
Thank you.
And recent change in your responsibilities. So tell us about your new position.
Yep. So recently just took on the role of Director of Seed and Crop Protection for Premier. At the end of this year, Mark Canary, after a long tenure here in the co-op system, is going to be retiring. And so feel very grateful for the opportunity to be able to continue on what he'll leave behind. And I'm excited to see where that takes me in the future. And just real grateful to do that.
Now, are you going to do the 1970s mustache look like Canary?
That's going to be tough for me
like
to do.
Like Canary has rocked for his...
I don't think you want to see that.
No.
So,
all right.
But in kind of my previous roles, working with the tracks department and as account manager, was able to bring Taranis on here this year, and excited to introduce them here in the podcast and let them talk about what they do here with our viewers. Good. So we've had a great positive experience this year, and excited to see where it goes here in the future.
Looking forward to hearing about it. So now we have a lot of listeners that we have. Those in ag probably know of Taranis, but just for those that may not even be around ag, tell us about what Taranis is, Brad.
I can handle that one. So Taranis, basically, we are a full service drone scouting platform. So we work with and through a retailer like Premier, other retailers around the country. So we provide this service of, as we like to put it, as I always say, we're the man behind the curtain. The Premier account managers are positioning this service with their growers. We just provide the labor and the lift to make it happen. So we're going to fly a field 6 times a year, starting at emergence. So we're going to get you a stand count. We're going to come back. We're going to get you early weed detection, later weed detection, diseases, nutrient deficiencies, insects, all these kind of things. Cory and I've talked about it. We tell the story all the time that we can count the spots on a ladybug from 90 feet in the air with a drone. But we're taking these pictures and then we're running it through an AI model to tag those specific things. So it's taking some of the human element out of it. So you don't have somebody that's looking at a picture and having a bad day and misses a weed or something like that. The AI just takes care of it for you, tags it all. We send these insights out to the retailers and growers so that they can look at it and get I like to call it leaf level intelligence of what's going on in their field. So instead of, I've been in agronomy long enough to know that when corn gets to be 8 feet tall in Indiana and it's 95 degrees, a crop scout, I don't care how good they are, is not going to go walk a whole field.
Yeah.
The drone doesn't care. It'll fly the whole field. So
you say scouting. So Cory, this is not just a picture, right? This isn't like what you'd see off your grain leg looking over the field. This is there's more to it than that, right?
Right.
So tell us, what does scouting mean from a Taranis perspective?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you think about the typical, methods of walking fields and doing the 55-mile-an-hour drive-by today, being able to get, samples and understand what's happening on every acre is nearly impossible without the technology that we're bringing to the table. And so, scouting for Tyrannis is really full field coverage, leaf level, and we also offer a macro view of that as well. So it's not like we're zooming in to just that really, little 200 square foot area and tagging images. We're zooming out to and seeing more of a fifth of an acre, quarter of an acre as well. So being able to see, that back corner where it's really hard to get to even with the four-wheeler or something like that. So scouting for us is being able to see, every acre and then understanding what's happening at the leaf level.
So when you're saying leaf level, Luke, you've looked at Tyrannis for a few years, right?
Mm-hmm.
What have you seen that's been, why don't you say what happened, I guess, last fall?
Yep.
I guess that's whenever you kind of made the decision or to kind of increase the amount of acres we're going to look at?
Sure. So last year we had a really bad tar spot epidemic in our area, and so whenever Tyrannis came to us, being able to see them tag tar spot from this leaf level imagery and seeing just a little tiny black dot on a corn plant, and to notify us that, hey, this field has potential tar spot in it. That got me really excited, because last year we got behind, we couldn't keep up with it. And so I thought, if we have a tool like this that we can use to bring to our customers to get an earlier indication that we may have tar spot in the area and that we may be able to make applications more timely, it would be a very good benefit and value to our customer base.
Okay, question. So we keep saying tag. What does that mean, Brad? Or?
So basically, when we say tag, so in an image of a field, there'll be a box drawn around the leaf, the plant, whatever we see. And as you can then zoom in, as you're looking at this on the computer, you could zoom in to where that box is drawn around that plant. Actually be able to zoom in and see the tar spot. I always hate to say it. I've said it a couple times the last few weeks, like, nobody wants to see tar spot, but tar spot's kind of our claim to fame. We can pick up tar spot very, very early. Now, sometimes it misses. Sometimes it tags other things as tar spot. It could be mud on the leaf, could be something else. But as I've told a few other customers around the area that I covers, we made you go look early. Something you probably wouldn't have done.
Something's wrong out there.
Right. There's something wrong. Like the AI says that's not supposed to be there. That black dot is tar spot, and we're sending you out to look and ground truth that.
And that's where the AI comes in. Is so how high is the drone when it's taking the pictures?
About 90 feet or so.
About 90, 100 feet.
Yeah.
And the AI is what makes the whole thing work, right? Because it can look at the images and say, this is not normal. This looks like something else.
Right. So when you get an image, it's you get 3 per acre roughly, right?
Roughly, yeah.
So on a 40-acre field, you'd be getting 120 images. And so what the AI is doing is it's allowing you it's notifying you on which of those pictures to look at. So otherwise, you're not scanning through 120
right. You
pictures,
don't have
right?
We break it down so when you look at our web portal and we dive in and we look at a field and we say, okay, we flew a mission. Here's what we see. We actually make it really simple. When you look at that, is we color code these boxes based on diseases, weeds, whatever, green, yellow, red, right? Green box, didn't hardly see anything. No big deal. No need to worry. Yellow box, might want to check it out. Red box, you probably want to look at that spot in the field. And then when you look at the map, it'll show you where the drone took those pictures. And if you're looking at, let's say it's diseases and the main box is red, when you pull up the map to see where the drone took the pictures, each dot where we took a picture, the dot will be red where we identified that issue. So then you can click in and zoom, look a little closer. We also have mobile apps on your phone. You can then go out and ground truth it and use the exact same map, walk to the exact same spot that drone took a picture and look to see what was there.
Wow. What were the growers' response to it this year, Luke?
Very positive from what I've seen. So we've had We had 6,000 acres in the program this year, which I felt like for us was a good introductory kind of number, spread across probably a dozen farmers. So, I encourage, and when I talk to customers about it, I encourage them to not just sign up one or two fields. We need to get a few more fields in there to get more engagement, because whenever you get that notification on your phone that flew this field, we want them to be looking at that. We don't want them to just get one notification every other week because they only have one field in there. Whenever they have 6 or 10 fields in there, they may be getting a notification every day that a field got flown. And so just gets more interaction with the tool that way. But
So the farmer gets a notification and the account manager gets a notification?
Yep.
Very
They
neat.
can set that up. As many people as you want to see that account and get those notifications. So if the farm has multiple people there, you can set that up any way you want.
All right. How did all this get started?
Grail, I'll let you take that one. You've been here a little longer than I have.
That's fair. Yeah. So this technology, comes to us from really a very strong military presence, and so our founders are from Tel Aviv, Israel, and as you know, over there,
Got a lot going on.
they got a lot going on, but
And have for a long time.
yes. But every man is required to have time served in the military. But all of our founders had family farms and very strong agriculture backgrounds. And when this technology was developed, essentially, it was the AI was already built to use facial feature recognition to pick a terrorist out of a crowd of 100,000 people, right? And so once that time in the military was over for our founders, they thought, well, how can this apply to agriculture? Can we teach it the difference between a corn plant and a soybean plant, the difference between a velvet leaf and a pigweed, and to be able to identify, nutrient deficiencies and striping in leaves and all those things. And so, when they decided that they wanted to take this to market, they knew that their biggest opportunity was in the States. And so coming over here to the U.S., they gathered some investors, and the original flight happened with a giant pod mounted on basically a glider plane. And so the story is really unique in terms of how that all came about. So they had to find somebody that could give them some demo fields to fly, and so they had met with some people, and so they had some demo fields to fly, and they had to run up to Michigan to source this glider and a pilot, and so they retrofitted this giant pod camera on the bottom of it and took off, and they got all the images that they needed. Well, when the pilot goes to land, he kind of gets to the end of where he is going to land and kind of loses a little bit of control and crashes the drone or the plane. And so our founder, he'll tell you, he ran up to the pod and didn't check on the pilot. The first thing that he did was to extract that SD card so that he could pull the images. And then, of course, he checked on the pilot. The pilot was fine. But then the next day, they had another call that they needed to go and fly some more fields.
They got no plane.
So
And maybe no pilot. Is he okay?
the pilot was good. And so they ran up to shop, back up overnight, went to Michigan, got this thing fixed, and they hauled it on a flatbed trailer all the way to start again. And so since then, the technology has obviously advanced, but that's really kind of how Taranis got its start.
Yeah.
And it wasn't drones. It was
airplanes.
It was airplanes.
planes.
Yeah. How long's that been then?
Well, we went commercial in the U.S. in 2020. This happened a couple years beforehand to really start the data collection and fine-tuning things. So, yeah, it's 2015 or so is really kind of when Tyrannis was born, and then getting it to a point of commercialization happened in 2020.
Yeah. What kind of so in that not the last 2 years, but let's say the previous the 5 years before that, what kind of obstacles, obviously going from airplane to drone and and those things. But what kind of obstacles? At what point were these tags more reliable? Was it the cameras? Was it the AIs? Was it the drones? Was it all of those things? What really triggered the big process change till you got to where you're at today?
Well, I would say, we fed this AI model 2 million images in order for it to understand what's going on. We've got a very, very talented team of agronomists and R&D specialists who, really kind of help the AI model learn, what it is that it's supposed to be looking at. And we've got tons of species of weeds and diseases and other things that are, it's learning about. But, I think from the standpoint of getting it from, building the confidence level in the AI model to then say, okay, we feel really good about, the accuracy here. That process took some time.
Sure.
I mean, it's, with that many images to go through, and you've got other people that are manually, looking at those images and confirming yes or no. And so, that's why it took, almost 5 years to get it off, to the point where we felt confident going in that, this is a service that we could offer. And I think the next biggest challenge is, well, how do you commercialize this and take it to the market? And what our founders, really saw is working with the cooperative and retail space made the most sense. They touch the most growers. They have the products that they can take these insights and take action on. They're the ones that are the trusted advisor. And so this is a tool that we can provide them versus going necessarily direct to grower, where you've got lots of different farming operations, lots of people that maybe would want to change how many flights they get and when they get them and things like that. So I think that, from a commercialization standpoint, going to market made a lot of sense to go through and with the retail channel.
Do you see the type of drones changing that they're using? Because I guess I was not at the Farm Progress show, but they're talking about some of the new spraying drones that look like basically military drones. They're small planes. Do you think that the type of drones that Taranis uses and deploys will change?
They're already changing. So we, the spray drones I look at, I see things on the internet. We look at it. Like I said, I come from a family farm. We're still farming today, and we look at spray drones all the time, but those things are getting bigger to get capacity. We're going the other way. Our drones are getting smaller, easier to deal with, easier for a pilot to move from one field to the next, not having to dismantle the thing to put it back in a giant case and move somewhere. So we're going the other way. We're getting a little smaller drones, better cameras, better processors. As this thing evolves, right now we're roughly about 24 hours from the time we fly a field to when a grower could see the images from that flight. So,
wow.
We fly a field today, tomorrow afternoon, you'll probably be able to see those images. We're getting to the point where things are going to start to evolve even faster to where we could fly a field. I mean, hopefully, I think you can see it, is we want to be able to fly a field 20 minutes later, you'll have the insights. And get
That's
to a
lot
point
of data.
It's a lot of data. It's a lot of expensive processing computers. It is way above my head as the, Central Indiana Farm kid here, that I don't understand that kind of stuff, but it's getting faster. It's getting better. Drones are starting to start getting a little smaller, a little easier to handle for our pilots. So, yeah.
So
I was going to ask about the pilots. So the pilots that are flying, do they work for Tyrannis, or how does that work?
We contract with what we call drone service providers, so DSPs. So we have these companies that basically they hire the pilots. They're flying Tyrannis owned drones, so they fly our equipment. We've got, I think, what are we down to now? 4 or 5
Roughly,
DSPs across the country that work with us. But obviously we pay those pilots. Those pilots are, I didn't realize this till I started working for Taranis 4 months ago, that drone pilots apparently are just like a bunch of contract guys. They will bounce from thing to thing to just keep making money and fly a drone. But they like to fly for us because we give them really good equipment, really good training, really good things to use. And so we have these drone service providers that we contract with, and then they have an area of operations that they work in. So there may be, let's say, 2 or 3 pilots that cover Indiana, but maybe only one of them, depending on number of acres, is flying. You may have one pilot that flies all the acres for Premier, or we may have 4 different ones that fly, depending on the day. So these guys are also flying other drones for other industries. They could be, yeah, they
possibly.
could be. But typically during the season that we have them, they are only flying for us because we keep them plenty busy. I mean, we fly 1 million acres across the country. So,
Wow. Is it when you're flying a field? Is it like we've all seen at this point? You know, when the drones are spraying, and you're at 90 feet, and one of these drones taking the pictures. How wide are the passes? I guess. I mean, so you're 90 feet in the air. How is it? A 30-foot pattern? A 100-foot pattern? I was just kind of curious.
Yeah, so really the model is, the field boundary that we're given to fly. We have a algorithm that basically plugs in, what's the most efficient path to get the coverage we need on this field. And so we're really not necessarily about, width of passes or anything like that. It's more based on, can we get, an image and a half to 3 images per acre? What's the most efficient way for that drone to do that? And then, at the same time, we're also trying to make sure that we get as much of the field covered as possible. Yeah. So, you run into some things with field boundaries and stuff where you got power lines or a tree in the middle of it or something like that. And so for it to be able to know where those boundaries are, I mean, it makes it really efficient. And so there's not a lot of work a pilot has to do field side, but besides, unpackage the equipment, make sure everything's looking good. They launch it, they send it out in the field, the drone flies itself, and they are responsible for landing it and getting the information off the drone. So, yeah.
Luke, has there been any specific success stories? You talked about the tar spot from 2 years ago. Anything kind of similar to that this year with the tags and insights?
For sure. So tar spot, luckily we've gotten through the season here without having a lot of tar spots. So that's been a real blessing this year for our farmers in this area. But one thing early season that we really saw that I felt like we had a good takeaway from was the early stand counts, especially on soybeans. So as we remember, spring was really, really rough. Never really had good planting windows. We were planting a lot of ground wet or got rain right after we planted. And so we did have some reduced stands in soybeans. And so getting those early stand counts in a soybean field, we were able to identify areas in that field that needed replanted and other areas didn't. So that's always a problem. We have that every year. And then you're out there driving around the field trying to guess where you need to replant at. Really with Tyrannis, that took a lot of the guessing work out of that. So through the software, we were able to get the stand count, make a variable rate rec in the tool, send that variable rate rec straight to John Deere Operations Center. The farmer was able to go out and replant that field in the areas that he needed to. So it was that's really amazing.
That tends to be the thing that really fires growers up, is that stand count, the emergence thing. I know from personal experience on our farm at home, we knew we were going to have to replant soybeans because we knew we had a not great stand. We got our stand count flight on soybean acres, and we the three of us, my dad and brother and I, all looked at one another and went, "Oh, we knew we had to replant beans. We didn't know we had to replant this many beans." Yeah. Like we replanted. It was not a matter of writing a prescription. It was we wrote a prescription. I wrote a prescription for our planter out of the tool and put it in as a shape file. But we had 2 zones. It was either plant or don't plant. That was how our stand was. It wasn't that it was thin. It was that there was nothing.
Yep.
So
that's how these situations were too. But it helps if you don't have an experienced operator in there that knows when and when not to replant areas. Gives a little more confidence there, I think, for those guys.
Well, plus it just, I mean, if you're farming in 3 counties, it takes a while to get around to see all these fields.
Yeah.
And just the idea that you can have that type of crop intelligence through a drone that fast, that you can make those decisions because it's tagged and shows the stand count. That's incredible.
Yeah, and you're talking about being able to steal a corn plant basically at spike.
Yeah,
when we're taking this
soybeans. I mean, we're heavy no-till areas here, and so there's a lot of corn stalks on the ground, and you see a little soybean.
Pick a little soybean popping up out of a no-till residue field. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what do you think? I guess either Cory or Brad, what do you think some of the future of AI in the ag industry is going to be? I mean, this is a remarkable change that just has happened in the last 2 or 3 years with Taranis, and changed basically how you can go to the market. Because I don't know that you could have had a product like this before AI.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, from my standpoint and working with retailers is, every retailer has the same issues is finding people and finding the manpower. So being able to have the time to go out and scout fields for your growers, and do it effectively is getting tougher and tougher all the time. So the AI is making it's all about efficiency. That's the way I see it. It's all about efficiency. It's how can we make you more efficient? Because now, when I worked in ag retail and I was an account manager, I think I had, let's just say I was servicing 40,000 acres at the time. I don't have time to go walk 40,000 acres once a week. A tool like this says, okay, out of 40,000 acres, this is what got flown. And I might have 30 acres that I need to go walk today to ground truth what the AI saw and make sure that that's the issue, do those kind of things. Therapy says it's giving retailers another touch point. Tying your relationship with a grower a little tighter, saying, hey, look, we saw this, we can make adjustments to a plan on the fly almost. And do those kind of things. That's, so for me, I see the AI just making everybody more efficient, from a grower standpoint of, in our farm operation, I'm the guy that walks all of our fields. We only farm 1,000 acres, but I'm the guy that walks those. Well, I've got 2 kids that keep me really, really busy with livestock shows and sports games and this, that, and the other. So, if this means that I can spend less time in a field looking for weeds and more time with the kid at a kid's baseball game or basketball, sports game, whatever, I'm all for that. That's all about making us more efficient.
Well, I think about, even what Taranis has done with AI in the last 8 months has really kind of tells you where AI is at in the broader spectrum of the industry. It's one thing for us to go and utilize AI to find and threats or whatever's going on in the field, but we've taken it a step further. Is I'm sure you've all heard of ChatGPT. Mm-hmm. Well, we've created ChatGPT for your fields using Taranis data. So we've got a tool called Ag Assistant. We just launched it last fall, and we're really seeing the ability to take a summary of what happened during a flight and create a recommendation or just a quick, here's what happened, here's kind of the highlights. I think once folks trust AI, and I mentioned this at the answer plot, once you understand that you can trust the accuracy and really not having to click through a bunch of images, and now you talk about we've got a language learning model that can tell you exactly what happened out in those fields. It's so doing that, and then now we're beta testing a grower season summary. So for every grower's, fields, for all their corn fields, all their soybean fields, to come up with a summary for what happened on a broad spectrum. So this is all AI powered, and the ability to be able to do that, I think only enhances, what's the next step with AI? So I think things are going to become faster. They're going to become, even more reliable than what they are. I use ChatGPT almost every single day to help me get through some tasks and things like that. And so, AI is definitely not a tool that I think we need to look at as replacing, the people, because the people are the ones that can use the information to make those decisions. But being able to use it as a tool is really important, and to do it confidently. And so I see AI being a huge factor going forward. I was talking with a grower the other day that said, if I could use AI to help me time up which fields I need to plant based on weather data, based on, soil temperature and things like that, so that I could be more efficient in my operation. And he said, I would do it, but there's not really a tool out there that can kind of tell you what to do. And so I think AI becomes a component of that.
It's kind of interesting, Cory, now that you laid it out that way, because it's kind of the progression where it went from AI is telling you that something's here. Now it's telling you the next version says what it is. And then this next version says, here's your summary. And the next version says, here's how you can fix it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And that's pretty cool how that grew like that.
And it happens fast.
It's like Terminator.
I mean, I've been here 4 months.
Become self-aware.
Yeah. That's right. I've been here 4 months, and the amount of things that have changed in inside of the Taranis platform in 4 months just kind of floors me. And we have a product team that they're constantly asking for feedback from users, from retailers, from growers. What do we need to do different? What do we need to do here? Can you look at this? Let's check these. That's the nice thing about this, about our platform is we're still a small enough company that we can make things happen pretty quickly. So when growers call and say, hey, can we do this? I had a conversation with a retailer in northwest Indiana. They raise a lot of popcorn. And he said, I don't know if popcorn's any different than this, but we have a location that is right smack dab in the middle of probably the largest popcorn growing area in northern Indiana. So I think we got a real opportunity if we can go after some of these acres. All right, let me make some phone calls. Like we'll start sending out emails and see if there's anything different between regular corn and popcorn. I don't know that there is. But so opportunities for those kind of things become a real discussion. I just had a discussion with our vice president of product the other day about tomatoes. Our corporate headquarters here in the US is in Westfield. That's where I live, north of Indianapolis. We're 30 miles from Red Gold. I think if we could come up with a way to do something with tomatoes, like that'd be kind of interesting. Can we do that? So those are the things that we can change things pretty fast, and the AI is going to make it even faster to be able to come up with ways to make this kind of tool work.
All right. And you can really count the spots on a ladybug.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've done it, Sal.
or the legs on a Japanese beetle.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, did we miss anything, Luke?
I think we're in good shape. So this is
really appreciate y'all. Appreciate the partnership. Thank you, Luke, for getting all together here. It sounds like it was very successful, and probably be doing some more next year. Do you think?
Definitely look forward to doing some more next year.
Premier is a very good partner with Taranis, and you guys provide a lot of good feedback for us to take back to the powers that be to get this thing changed. So,
and if growers have an interest, they can either talk to their account manager or email crops@premierag.com. All right.
Great.
Well, thank you all very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. That's another episode of The High Ground, powered by Premier Companies. Thank you all very much.